Good evening, everyone. All right. So this session is about how to use Google Calendars to make the timetables and schedules. Um, I just created a quick kind of overview before I start the session. I wanted to tell you what exactly I'm going to plan for this hour. Um, right. So this is what I have for the hour. I'm going to take about Google Calendar. These are the objectives I'm expecting to cover from the session. I'm going to have and I'm going to give you an idea about how to create calendars, and I'm going to show you how do how do you share the events with the other faculty members. I'm going to give you an idea about how to share the calendar with the students, and then finally we're going to see about generating monthly reports from Google Calendar. So this is what I'm expecting to cover in this one particular in this hour. So this is a session plan. I've got 60 minutes for the session, and the first 5 minutes I'm going to spend on understanding your, understanding the participants. I assume we have 44 attending at the moment. So the first few minutes I'm going to take about launching a poll and saying that uh, I'm going to launch a poll and I'm going to say I'm going to ask you a few questions. Followed by that, I'm going to have a 30 minutes demonstration, and then I'm going to spend some time in getting and giving answers to your questions. So this is the plan for the session. Yeah. So, and at any point of time of this webinar, if you wanted to ask any questions, please feel free to post in the question tab. I will take that during the Q&A session. All right. So this is the plan for the session. Now let's start with the poll. I'm going to launch a poll, and about 5 minutes you'll get time. I've had a couple of polls to understand the audience. So there you go. You have the first poll. I want you to fill this questions and give me the answer. All right. So I've got 100% for this. I'm going to close this poll, and I'm going to have one more question, and then I'm going to display the results. Okay, there you go. The second question. Here comes the second question. Got 98% audit, and I'm still waiting for two more person to complete it, and then I'll start the demonstration. All right, thanks. So thanks for the poll. I've got 57 says that it's the first time to use Google Calendar. That's a 57. That's a good count. And then I've got 43% which says that uh, it's now the first time. So I've got a pretty interesting crowd for this session today. So those who said that you have experience, you're going to contribute for the Q&A session. I'm going to unmute you. So if you have good experience on Google Calendar, you can share with the colleagues. And then the second question, which I was asking, was about are you currently using? I've got 60/40. That's a good number. So I hope by completing this session, you will be able to meet the objectives which I'm going to cover. So with that note, I'm going to continue for giving the demo. Okay, so the first and foremost thing is for creating Google, for using Google applications, you have to, it is highly recommended to use Google Chrome. In this case, we are using the Google app called Google Calendar. So if you're working with Google application, please use Google Chrome. In my case, I'm going to use one of my account to demonstrate the Google Calendar app. I wanted to start from the beginning, so I have a kind of tab here, which is very fresh. I'm going to go to Google. So this is how you start with. Go to google.com. And once you come to the google.com, set up the language if it is coming in Arabic. Okay, fine. So if you go to google.com, you're going to see something called sign in. So click on the sign in option, and that will give you a window where you need to type your email address and password. So for example, in my case, I would type my username as my email, of course, and then the password. So I'm not going to use this account for the demo purpose. This is the step one you need to do, okay? So since I'm not using this email account, I'm just skipping a few parts. So I'm going to the page where I have already logged in. Just some instructions. I've got a question. Someone is asking some question. Just let me pick that. I think, okay, fine. So I'm going to use one of my account, which I already have signed in. So I'm going to, once you sign in, you get to see, when you click on the grid, you get to see all the Google applications. So we're going to focus on Google Calendar here. When you click on Google Calendar on the screen or on the app, you get to see that it loads a page like what you're displaying here. Okay, so I have got two comments saying that the audio is not clear. So I just wanted to make sure the audio is clear. So those who, I'm going to unmute everyone. So if you can hear me well, can you say yes so that I can continue?
I think I can hear you very well, Mr.
So are you
Suraj.
able to hear me?
Yes, Suraj,
Yes.
we can hear you.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
also
I
able to
can
hear you too.
Perfect.
Yes,
we
yeah,
hear
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, Mr. Suraj, we can hear.
Okay.
We can hear
Okay.
you.
Thanks for
clear.
confirmation.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes, Suraj, now it's
Thank
clear.
you. Thank you. So I'm going to mute everyone back.
Yes.
Yes.
Go on.
Oh. Okay, I'm going to mute everyone. Let's take it after. I mean, let's talk more when we have a Q&A session. So I'm going to mute everyone back. All right. So sorry about the distraction. So let's come back here. So I was telling, like, once you sign into Google application, you will see your profile picture or your initial coming up here. And then if you go to the apps, you will find all the list of applications which is from Google. And then you can click on the calendar. So when you click on the calendar, what happens is you get to see the screen that is getting open. So this is how the Google Calendar looks like. I have got many calendars here. Let me just hide those things before talking. So for you, what you would see is if you are a first user, first time if you're using the calendar, what you get to see is you get to see your name coming up. Like I have my name as GMUIT, so that's a profile which I'm using to demo this session. So this is going to be your name, which you're going to see under my calendar. So how do you start this? The step number one is I don't want to disturb your existing calendar. If you are a phase coordinator, if you are a person who is planning the timetable, I don't want you to use your personal calendar. Personal calendars can be used for planning your sessions, which you have for the programs and courses, or if you have some meetings, those things can come onto your personal calendar. To create for the program, to create for the course, what I want you to do is I want you to create a new calendar. So that's going to be here. If you come to the other calendars, you're going to click on this, and when you click on this, you will get to see something called create new calendar. So then let me do it once again. I am not going to use my existing calendar. Instead, I'm going to create a new calendar for the purpose of course timetable creation. So I click on other calendars. That will give me a window, or that will give me a pop-down bar, which I'm going to choose create new calendar. So I'm going to click on create new calendar. It's going to ask me what kind of what's the name of the calendar. So for example, I'm going to take year one, and then here in the description, I'm going to describe what is the calendar going to do. So I'm going to say, this is the timetable of year one students, or this is the timetable for year one students. Okay, so you can describe as well as you want to and as informative as you you like, because when you share this to the students, they can see what is this description which is given right here. And then you can set up the time zone as Gulf Standard Time. There are multiple time zones, but we need to stick on to our time zone, so that's the calendar. So if you, at this point of time, before we start with anything, I wanted to say that if you're creating calendar, you can stop here. And then once you stop here, what you can do is you can click on create calendar. So when you click on the button, the system is going to take a few minutes, and you will see a progression saying that calendar creation is in progress. And then in a few minutes, depends. Okay, now it says that year one successfully created. So now if you see here, if I go back to my previous window, I would see something called year one. That's right here. Let me delete this too. Sorry. All right, so if you can see the red color one, which I have this here, that's a new calendar, which I've named as year one. There is a small confusion. Sometimes we used to have us whenever we create events, or if you are sharing calendar with someone else, those calendar will be also displayed. For example, if I'm a faculty who's teaching in year one, and year one medicine or year one dentistry faculties are sharing calendar with me, those calendar details will be also displayed in my current page. It is that no one is going to, or like until and unless you give the access to someone, no one is going to disturb your calendar. Okay, so you have to be aware that there's no one who's going to access your calendar until and unless you give the access. But if you have subscribed to multiple calendar, so here in my list, I have got 4 calendars, my personal calendar, my reminders, my task, and my a new calendar which I've created year one. So in this window, if you check all these boxes, or if you check all these calendars in the default window, you're going to see every event, be it from year one, be it from your personal, be it from your reminders, or be it from tasks. All the details will be displayed in one view. And if you ask me, how do I just move out of it, or how can I just remove few things from few calendars? Say, for example, I don't want to get something from year one, so I can just uncheck this, and the year one calendar details won't be available. Okay, so that's how you create a calendar. Then step 2, when you plan your timetable, how do I create timetables? So once the calendar is ready, you can do a few things, that is settings and sharing. So to do the customization or to configure the new created calendar, if you pick on that, that is, if you select the calendar, you can see a small kind of a highlighter coming up in the background. And then you can see 3 dots coming up here. So these are the options for ER1 calendar. So when you click on that, you get the window. It says that settings and sharing. If you want to choose any good color for the calendar, or any color which you're interested in, you can choose that. That color sets to your calendar. So for the moment, to differentiate, I'm going to keep the red one. So when I click on the options, I can see something called settings and sharing. When I go to the settings and sharing tab, it gives me the window which I had before while I created the calendar, but this time it's going to have a lot of functions. So that's what we're going to discuss right now. So this remains the same. This is something which I have given the calendar creation time. And then here, I have an option called make available to public. So when I make it available to the public, the students can see the events which I'm posting in the calendar. So that's this functionality. Until and unless you make it public, then the students may not be able to see it. If you restrict it to student, the people in Gulf Medical University, only if I log in with my gmu.ac.ae account, I can see the events. Okay, so now in this scenario, I wanted to share the timetable with the students. So I cannot expect the students to always log in. So I wanted to make it publicly available. So I'm going to choose make it as public and give OK. So when you give public, you have two options. You can say see only free or busy. That's not the context which we are talking about, because we wanted to describe, we wanted to give the details about each and every sessions that's happening. So I'm going to say see all event details. So that's the first thing which you have to do under access permission. And the next part, what we need to do is we can share this calendar with specific people. For example, if I'm an year one coordinator, I want my course chairpersons to add things onto my calendar, or I want my support staff to add things onto my calendar. In that case, you will go for add people. And when you click on add people, you get to see the names, or you can see a box where you can add the names. So in this case, I'm going to add a name, add my own name. So this is not my account. This is an account which I'm using for the demo purpose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this calendar with my original email. So I've got a collaborator who's going to help me to plan the schedule. So this is how you can add collaborators. So collaborator can have settings like you can see all the event details, or the collaborators can make changes, so you can assign things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add collaborators. Now, in this case, I have got some restrictions in the calendar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a collaborator of this in this same domain. So if you're using gmu.ac.ae domain, if people wants to make changes, then the collaborators need to be in gmu.ac.ae domain itself. So that means you cannot have an external person who is changing your calendar or modifying your calendars. So that security feature is already enabled in Google. So I'm going to use a manager account to plan the schedule or collaborate the schedule. So these are the settings which you can have. This collaborator can see all the event details. They can make changes and events. They can also make changes and sharing settings. So make changes and events means that they will be able to create events. They will be able to modify events. So if you go for the first scenario, they will be just seeing as a public what is there in the calendar. And then the third option is make changes and manage sharing. That means that if you enable this to someone, then they can share the calendar with others also. So this should be very carefully handled. If you don't want anyone to share this calendar to someone else and then make modifications, go for the third option. And if you wanted your colleagues to share the calendar with others, you can make this. So making changes and even creation is possible for everybody. It is just the sharing part. So if you don't enable the fourth option, then they won't be able to see this sharing with specific people. This particular tab won't be available for them. That's the only difference we have here. Okay. Now, the next is event notification. If you wanted to get notified about events, you can pick up the notifications. You can say, okay, I wanted to know about the events by email. I can say that I wanted to get on a weekly base, or on a day base. I can add the notifications. I can get all day notifications by activating this function. And also, I can have something called daily agenda. So this is a good tool, or this is a very good notification, which I always use. So what happens is in my calendar, what is a whole day, or how is a whole day, is automatically emailed to me at morning 5:55. So I get to see what is there in my calendar for the day. So this is something which is really good. If you want your support staff to know about the whole day thing, you can ask them to activate this function. And then if you want to share the calendar with students, So there are two ways to do that. One is using this public URL, and second is this the embedded code. So since we guys, I mean, we all are using Google Drive. I know it is clear. I know the different. You guys are very clear with the difference of these two. The link is just the URL part, and if you wanted to frame it inside your page, we will be using embed code. So these are the things these are the ways of sharing the calendar. I'll spend some time later by showing a real-time example to two ways. And finally, if you want to delete a calendar, you can do it by going to the remove and delete remove section, and you will find the delete option. So these are the settings part which you have in the calendar. And now let's see how do we create events. Now, to create an event, you should do this very carefully, because most of us do get confused about that. So let's give it a try. To create an event, you have two options. One is to click on this button, and then you can give title. Okay, so let's do the two methods. So first method is this, and the second method is you can just drag and drop your cursor here, and then it will create an event. So let's start the first method. I'm going to click on this button. So it's going to ask me what kind of event it is. I'm going to say I have information technology course. Which is ITE 101. Okay, and then I have to fix the date and time, and then if I wanted to go to more options, if I wanted to give the details, what I would preferably do is I will go to more option. So it will give me a bigger window. So here in the window, this remains same. So this is the subject title, and then I'm going to say that it's going to be from, let's say it's going to be on Sunday, and that's going to be from, let's say at 10 in the morning, or yes. So I've got to say that it's going to be 10 in the morning, and it's going to end at 11. So this is my course, and here I can give the location details. So in the current scenario, what we are doing is we're going to have a lot of online lectures. So I can recommend for you, I mean, I can give you a recommendation that you can type what kind of method you're using. So if it's a GoToMeeting, you can type GoToMeeting here. Or if it's a GoToWebinar, you can type GoToWebinar here. And then you don't have to add any conferencing here. Then you can directly skip to the description part. And before you move to the description part, that is where you will have to be very careful of. This is my personal calendar, and this is a new calendar which I have created. So I need to make sure that the event is created in the calendar which belongs to that particular year or that particular program. If it's your event, yes, you can add it. But this is an event which is part of an year one program. So I'm going to choose year one, and you can see the red color coming up. So this is a way to cross-check that. And here you can add the description. So you can say topic. You can say mode of delivery. And then if you have links which you wanted to share with students, you can put up the links for registration and other things here. And if you wanted to just make some modifications, you can put up these things. So this is how you can create. And if you wanted to give some spaces between this, so that's all possible. So this is how you create the description. This is how you create the location, and this is how you give the date and time. And also, most importantly, this is how you assign to your calendar in the program. And the next part on the right side, you can see the guest. Say okay, I'm going to invite Mr. Suraj for this session. So I'm going to add his name here, and then his name and his email. If I add his name or his email address, automatically that person will be available or coming up in this area. Now, when I click on save, it's going to ask me, should I send an invitation to this person? If I say yes, an email goes to Suraj saying that, yes, you've been invited for a session. And since I'm not using gme.ac.ae domain, that's the reason I'm getting this extra tab? I'm saying yes, no problem. Go ahead and invite him. So I got an invitation. Now let me go back to my Suraj at GMU and see what happens there. So when I come to Suraj at GMU, I'm not going to get an email saying that someone has invited me. So here is where. So I'm going to get an email saying that an invitation has come. So this is the faculty side. Okay. So now I, as a faculty, I'm being invited by phase one in charge to do this session, and this is the time. Now, when I click on this, before that, let me just go back to my calendar. So this is my Suraj at GMU account. In my Suraj at GMU account, I'm going to show you the calendar. So I do the same. I go to the grids, and when I click on the application, it's going to load my application from Google. I'm going to pick the Google Calendar. When I pick on the Google Calendar, it's going to show me the calendar view which I started with. So this is my calendar which I have for this week and this month. So this is my calendar. And now what happens is I've got a few things here. So those which is added to my calendar is appearing here. And when I come to my mail and if I say yes, automatically what happens is you can see that on that particular date and time. So I had confirmed the date as on 4th of April. So if I go to 4th of April, I get to see that there is some information technology session which I've been invited for. And this invitation is from the person like IT admin, and then you have accepted it, and these are the things. So in your calendar, it's not going to be there in not only in phase one calendar. Since you have accepted this invitation, that's going to add it onto your calendar. Like these, the sessions can be created by the phase coordinators or the course in charges, and then you can share it with the concerned faculty members. After you share it with the concerned faculty members, they will accept it. Once they accept it, what happens to that is it will be added to their calendars. And okay, so and then what happens is I'm sorry, I took a question, that's why I got disturbed. So once I accept, I as a faculty accept, that will be added to my calendar. So this is how the invitation and this is how the calendar creation is been set in Google Calendar. Just give me, I'm going to just open the mics to understand. Please don't ask any questions at this point of time. It is like I wanted to make sure that whatever I was talking is clear for you. So if it's a clear, give me an S. I don't want to load the question and answer with comment chats, because if I wanted to answer your questions, it is not wise to put it in your question bar. So that's the reason I'm going to open the mic. If you got what I said, please give me an S. Please don't put your chat messages in the question tab. That's going to give me a tough time to answer your questions. So I'm going to unmute you all again. All right, so the mic is unmuted. So if you got what I said till now, give me an S.
Yeah. Yes, Mr.
And if
Suraj.
it's not,
Yes, Suraj.
thank you
Yes,
so much.
Suraj, we get you. It's clear.
Yes, Mr.
Yes,
Suraj,
sir.
one question.
Okay, Mr. Suraj, yes, it's beautiful.
Yes.
Yes, clear.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the confirmation. So I'm going to mute you all back just to move forward, and then I will answer all your questions towards the end of the session. Okay. So now what I have done is I created a calendar. I invited the faculty member. So I'm going to talk from the faculty's view. Now, I, as a faculty, when I come to the calendar, I get to see all the invitations here. So there's a difference between inviting someone, and there's a difference between making a person as a collaborator. So when I invite someone, I get to see the event which I have accepted, or the event which I got as an invitation. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this person, or I'm going to quickly go to the manager view, which I have made as a collaborator, and show you what happens there. So I'm going to open my calendar, which the collaborator rights being given. So yeah. So once it is loaded, what happens in the collaborator view, or what happens with the collaborator is your collaborator will first of all get an email. That's for sure. Like how you have invited, the same way your collaborator is going to get an email, and then you as a collaborator, you're going to also see something like is going to be shared with you. Okay, so my calendar is getting loaded again. Okay, let me just do it once again. Sorry. I'm going to get back to my admin account, and this is my calendar. I'm going to settings and sharing. And when I come to the settings and sharing, I'm going to add the person called manager as a collaborator of this calendar. Okay, so I'm going to give the collaborator, first let me show you the rights by giving rights permission for seeing events, sorry, making changes and creating events. I'm going to send that. Now, when I come back to my manager, so the person whom I have added as a collaborator, I'm going to refresh this. So in this window, so here says that the admin has shared a calendar with you, and you can add this calendar and you can view this calendar. If I add this calendar, then what happens is it's going to get added in my calendar list. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to say add this calendar, and then it's going to take a few seconds, and then you will get this message. And if I say add, I would see that in my other calendar list. So manager is my personal calendar. Other calendar is being shared by the member of the IT admin had shared this calendar to manager. So the manager is going to have the calendar which he is being invited as a collaborator. So in his calendar, he's going to see his events as well as the events which has been given by the admin. Now he can check and uncheck this. So when he uncheck it, the event goes up. Please don't get confused here. If you see multiple events getting populated in your calendar, that's not someone has hacked your account. It's just because you have got an additional calendar, and those additional calendar events are also being displayed in your view. If you feel that that's too much for me, you can check and uncheck. Okay, so that's how it is. Now, I'm going to create an event here. So when I create an event here, I'm going to create it like IT again, IT 101. And then I'm going to say that this time it's going to be on April 12th. And the same time, I'm going to say 10 a.m. And yeah, it's going to be 10 a.m. and then it's going to be 11 a.m. And then I'm going to choose your year one. Okay. So when I come here, I can add things to my year one calendar because I'm being as a collaborator. So you can ask your colleagues to help you. You can ask your support staff to do this. I mean, however you wanted to place it, you can do that. Again, I can go back to the more options. So here I come and here I can type how you wanted to do that. And here you can type. So I'm going to say here, go to webinar. And here you can say the topics. And here you can type the mode. And here you can type, let's say, link or something if you wanted to share. So why I'm putting all this here, because you can use this again as a channel to share this information to the students. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to save it here. Now, as a collaborator, I have done that. Now let's go back to the main person who created the calendar. So when I come back to the main person, I can, do you think it can be? Yes, it is coming up here. So this was not added by the main person who created the calendar. It was added by the collaborator who added the calendar. Now the second case is, I'm going to go back to the settings of the year one calendar. This time what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this manager rights. So manager is a collaborator. So I'm going to change his rights. Okay, before changing it the rights, let me show you the sharing part. So I'm going to get back to the manager again. In the manager, if I go to the year one calendar, if I click on settings, you can see from here that in my admin, I had settings and sharing, whereas I don't have settings and sharing here because I have given the rights only to add events. So the events are very limited, or the permissions are very limited at the moment. Now, let me go back to the main one, that's admin, and let me update the permission, say that he can make changes and also he can manage sharing. When I do that, it's automatically saved. And after I do that, if I get back to my manager account, what's going to happen here is if I give a refresh, I get to see that all the rights, which is it's there with the managing rights, the sharing rights is coming up here, right here. So this is how you can make collaborations or make a collaborator in Google Calendar. So I've given you a kind of small overview of how the Google Calendar could be used and how it can be shared. Now, I know it is. I'm going a bit fast because more than the demo is going to be like it's all recorded. So you're going to get a copy of this session after an hour. So you can watch what I have explained at any time. So I'm a bit fast because I wanted to take more questions. So that's why I'm going a bit fast. Now, finally, the final part is I wanted to show you how do you generate reports. So for generating reports, I'm going to use my personal calendar. So if you come to the personal calendar, you've got multiple views. You can have a view for the day. You can have a view for the week. You can have view for the month. You can have view for the year. And also, if you wanted to just get the schedule view, yes, you can beautifully do that. So there are multiple views which you can get in a calendar. So the best way I feel is like to generate report, what you can do is, first of all, change the view from day or change the view from week to schedule. So if you come to here, you have schedule. Now, after you make the changes in the schedule, go ahead and hit on the gear icon. So now here in the gear icon, you will find something called print. Click on the print, and then you can choose the range. So I'm going to say that I wanted to see what happened for my last week. So I'm going to say from 21st till 20. Okay, sorry. I am in 2021, so I'm going to come back here to 2020. So I'm going to know what has happened from 21st March 2020 till 28th March 2020, the 7 days. And then I have a settings to choose what kind of font size you want. I'm going to say normal. Orientation, I can have a landscape or portrait. So I'm happy with portrait. I wanted to print the descriptions also, so I'm going to choose that. And then I'm going to choose the print end time. I'm going to print the attendees details. So if you wanted to uncheck and check, you can do that. And then when I click on print, now what happens is you get to see the printing option coming up in a few minutes. So when you see this, it's going to describe the whole thing, what I have selected from in the range. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to print it. If you want to print it, yes, of course you can print it. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to save it as a PDF. So from the printer, you can choose a save as PDF option. And then when you click on save, it's going to ask you where you wanted to save. I can give a name here. I'm going to say week 10 planner or week 10 something. Okay, I'm going to keep this week 10, and then I'm going to save it. Let me put it in the desktop. Now, when I click and save in the desktop, yes, my planner report or my report of that particular week is ready. So let's go ahead and see how it does come. So when I click on this is what is going to appear. So my calendar name is going to come, and my details with all the descriptions are going to come up. So this is how you can prepare a report. Now, for the phase coordinators, the course in charges, you can ask me how do we take the report. What do you need to do is go back to your calendar, and in the calendar, you need to uncheck the ones which you don't want. For example, I wanted to just take a report of year 1 alone, so I can just check on year 1 alone. I can go to the schedule, and then when I come to the schedule, go back to the gear icon, click on the print, I'm going to choose the date. That's like, I can just type it, 2020. And I'm going to say that I'm going to want till April 6th. And then I can choose normal. I can choose the portrait or landscape. And finally, I'm going to say descriptions are required. Attendees, when you say attendees, you can see who's participating in that session. So Mr. Suraj is the person who is in charge of the course. So his name is automatically coming here. But if that is confusing for you, so you can just say no for it, and then you can print it. And then when you come back to the print option, you're going to see the printing menu. So you're going to save it, and then you can see the report as I have displayed. I think that's the whole thing. I'm just 3 minutes out of time, so I'm now going to quickly come back to the Q&A part of this, which is most important. I know you have got many questions, so to have an uninterrupted Q&A, I strongly recommend you to use either questions or please give chance for the person who's talking. Once he completes, you can start. So let's start. I'm going to unmute you back. Okay. Okay, there you go. Your mics are unmuted.
Mr. Suraj, please, I have a question.
Yeah.
Mr. Suraj, are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay.
Yes, I'm hearing you, doctor.
Yeah. A couple of days ago, one phase coordinator sent me invitation for certain events, and I accepted. And first of all, I don't have my calendar. So, her calendar? Hello, Mr. Suraj?
Yes, doctor. There was some background noise actually. That's why. Dr. Walid, can you mute your mic? Okay, Dr. Miral, you go ahead, doctor.
So a couple of days ago, I got invitation from phase
Yeah.
coordinator to some events, and I accepted, and I said yes. I wasn't aware of
Okay.
all of that things, and I don't have calendar. So I believe this was her calendar. So now, if I forgot these events, what it was or when it will be, how I can return back to view out what I accepted.
Okay, so good question, doctor. Good start. So if you forgot and by mistake, if you accepted and if you want to see what you have accepted, you need to go back to your account. Say if it was me, so I will log into my gmu.ac.ae. Okay, use Google Chrome and go to Dr. Miral at gmu.ac.ae. So you will see your icon here coming up, and then you go back to the calendar. So when you click on the calendar, you will be able to see what all things you have accepted and what all things you have planned.
So these things now it is settled
So
in my calendar, though I didn't settle any calendar before.
Yes, since you have said a yes for it, yes, it will be part of your calendar, and also it will be reflected in the person who had sent you the request.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Suraj.
Hi, Mr. Suraj.
Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Suraj. Hi, Dr. Pankaj here. How are you?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm joining you from the hospital here.
I'm good, doctor. Yeah.
Yeah, Suraj, one thing I was trying to look at how will the students view because our main thing is how will the students view as a timetable. So can you just show us the public sharing view? Because what my point was, will the student be able to see and if he doesn't have a Google account? Because I tried to copy the URL of the public sharing calendar and I put into one of the new tab. It said that you have to log into Google to see the Google calendar. So is it mandatory for a student to log into his Google account to see a public shared calendar?
Good one, doctor. Yes, I can show you that. So what you need to do is, if you go to, for example, okay, let me come back to the phase one, which I was using. Okay, it was in admin IT. So here, if you come back here.
Yeah, you have this public sharing. So if you copy this URL.
Yeah, this is what. No. That's wrong. You're not supposed to copy anything from here. What you need to do is you need to go to this three dots and you have to click on the settings and sharing. And when you come to the settings and sharing, you get to see. One sec. Okay, if you come down here, this is a URL. So if you want, copy this URL, and let me come back to a Moodle page and show you that rest. So I'm going to copy this URL, and just give me a second. I'll put in the Moodle courses so that the context will be very clear for you. So when you copy that URL, you can log into your course, and you can do just paste that. Just give me a second. Okay. Okay, so my course is getting loaded. Just bear with me for a minute. Okay, fine. So for example, I'm going to use one of my demo page. So here in the demo page, I'm going to just add that event. You can place it anywhere. Okay, so I don't want to disturb my existing course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sample course, and inside the sample course, I'm going to put this URL. So I'm going to come over here, and then I'm going to click on editing on, and click on turn editing on. I'll get the option like add an activity resource. So I'm going to do add it as a URL. So click on URL, and once I click on URL, sorry about that.
So you don't suggest to directly give the URL link to the students on something. So but the problem is that if they click on URL, it goes to the Arabic page right now. So that's one more challenge.
Sorry, doctor. You were breaking. I didn't get you well, doctor.
Was that I put this URL and then it went to an Arabic page. So I don't know, maybe you can do some settings again so it can go to plain simple English.
That's what I'm saying, doctor. When you create a URL, the features will be slightly different. I'm going to take that towards the end of the session and give you the whole idea. But for the time being, what I wanted to tell you is like you can copy the URL from the settings and sharing and paste it in the Moodle page. Say, for example, I'm going to just a second. I'm sorry about this delay. Okay, I'm going to the URL part, and when I come to the URL part, it's going to okay, page. There's a small delay because I've got multiple things which is open. That's the reason for the delay. I'm sorry for that. So I'm going to come back to my page. So this is my course page, and once it is loaded, 1 second. All right, let me just try some other thing. Okay, I'm going to use computer skills and see whether it's okay there.
You can actually use my course.
Okay, now I go to add URL, and when I come over URL, I'm going to get the window where I can say what the URL is. Yes, I got it. So I'm going to say timetable. And here is where I need to paste the URL, and then when I just click on save and return to the course, my URL will be ready, and the students will be able to view it because I have made the calendar available for the public. So this is the timetable I've created. So when I click on the timetable, it is going to display the calendar which I've added on the URL. Yeah, here we go.
Mr. Suraj, can we give URL or page embed? Does not make much difference, right? We can give anything.
Dr. Salma, I think you're breaking. Can you just repeat your question?
My question is either we give URL link or page embed. Doesn't make much difference, right? Page embed.
Yeah, it's as same as I was mentioning. as I was mentioning, you guys know well how to use the embedding and how to use the URL. So it depends on you. If you want to keep as a URL, you can do that. Or if you wanted to create it as a embedded, yes, you can do that.
Okay.
But
Suraj, is
I'm not. I'm just waiting for the last and final note. I will give you a customization option because I don't want it to like give the whole thing out. Before my conclusion, I'm going to tell you how to paste this iframe, that is the iframe part with customization. For the time being, Dr. Pankaj, the answer is yes, you can copy and paste the URL right from here.
Yeah, the only
Can I
problem
have
here is that it goes to
any other
Arabic.
questions?
It goes to an Arabic mode actually. I've tried to paste it into another window. It goes to an Arabic page. So there's any way we can change in the end the language. It goes to the Arabic calendar.
I think I'll check and get back to you, doctor, on that. But the description and details doesn't go to Arabic, and again, it depends on the user. I'll get back to you on the default settings of Arabic later, doctor.
Okay.
All right. Do we have any other questions?
Suraj? Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mr. Suraj, can you hear me?
Yes, Dr. Pooja, yeah.
Yeah. I just have a question that many times when we copy and paste the URL link in the URL page that you just showed us, it asks students for like an access. Like, for example, if we are trying to open it, we have to put in our first name, last name, and the email ID. So the same thing would be required for the students to do?
No, doctor. That's what it's almost close to what Dr. Pankaj was asking. So
Okay.
in the scenario, if you go to the settings and sharing, if you
Mm-hmm.
make this as public, okay, so there
Okay.
are two options to make it as public. And if you make it as public, and if the calendar, if you have made the calendar as public, then there's no
We do
requirement
not
to
need.
just log in with the details. It is very
Oh,
no, you don't need.
okay, Mr. Suraj. Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, doctor. No other questions?
One more thing, Mr. Surya. Like we are for suppose for year one you said you made a setting of make new calendar. If we do all on the same page, will it
Yeah.
will it make much difference? Or it will be only too much crowded for me, or it will not be. It will be everything will be visible to others as well.
Again, Dr. Salma, as I was telling you, when you create a calendar, that's if you wanted to hide or if you wanted to have a customized view, you can check and uncheck the calendars. Right here, if you see, I can have an option to check and uncheck the calendars. So if you feel that your page is crowded, you can check, you can uncheck that, and then it will show you the calendar which you wanted to view. Of course, if you are handling multiple programs, multiple years, you will have a lot of things coming in your calendar, but don't worry about that. It is just a matter of unchecking and checking the calendars that can help you and give you a clear picture. But you will have everything in one place. That's the whole idea of it, doctor.
Thank you.
Hi, Suraj. I have a question.
Yeah, Dr. Mayo.
Suraj, when we create a calendar and say we shared it with the students, okay, and after we shared it, then we wanted to get a change. So then again we go to the edit, we change it,
Okay.
and does it automatically get changed in their calendar too, or do we have to resend it again?
No, doctor. Actually, that's the reason I had proposed the Google Calendar for timetabling. If you make any changes in the calendar, in a real-time base, it is updated in the link. So you don't have to worry about, once the link is placed, you don't have to worry about anything. What you need to do is you need to make changes in the calendar. That's it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome, doctor. Do we have any other questions?
Yes, Mr.
Sounds
Suraj.
good. Yeah.
I think it's Dr. Noha, right?
Yes, can I ask?
Yeah, Dr. Noha.
Yes. I have two questions. The
Yep.
first one, does the part-time faculty add the slot in the calendar, or it should be at gmu.ac.e? This is the first question. The second one is, when there is a common course, can I add this event to multiple calendar while I'm creating the event, not by copying it after that? In the first step, while I'm creating the event, can I share it with multiple calendar?
A good one, Doctor. No, you cannot copy to multiple calendar because an event is going to be only, you cannot create an event in multiple calendars. Only option, as you said, is like you can copy the event to the other calendars. Unfortunately, that's the only way, Doctor.
And regarding at my GMU, any part-time faculty?
Okay, so for the part-timers, what you do is basically you create the event and then you invite them as a guest, correct, Doctor?
Okay.
So there is in their calendar, of course, the event will be displayed, and in your GMU calendar, that's going to be the source. So nothing is going to stop you in sending an invitation. So you're free to do that.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? No questions?
Looks good, sir. Thank you so much.
Okay, so I have a last note. So anyone else is having any questions?
Yes, sir.
Stay back.
Watson.
I will.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, Dr. Watson. Yeah. Yes, perfectly, Dr. Watson.
For distance education timetable, sir, in the calendar, if you want to repeat the same timetable to the next week also, do we have to type again, or we can again replicate, or how to repeat the weekly calendar, sir?
So Dr. Watson, thanks for the question. So if you want to create an event, if you want to repeat the event in a calendar, yes, you have a facility here. If you go to the option more, you have something called repeat. So you can make the events repeated according to your need. You can say that this event is going to be repeated on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I didn't explain that because I have the whole university crowd. So from program to program, it differs. If it's a credit rating, if it is like every day Sunday at 10:30, if you have information technology, yes, you can do the repeat. If it is not that way, you need to manually do it, Dr. Watson. Is that did I answer you, Dr. Watson?
Suraj?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can you restrict that to a particular time, like as our, mid semester, end semester, we are having it in the month of June. Can we restrict this timetable, repeat this timetable up to the end of May month?
No, doctor. It is again. So the owner of the calendar is the one who's going to, who's going to play a key role there. So if you want to, so if you are sending the request, you have to first block the final, or you have to block the end semester part, and then you need to just create the other events. So if you have a collaborator, then you have to just like it should be mutually agreed, and you have to plan it, doctor. But there is no way to restrict it to a certain period of time.
Okay.
But there is an option, something called as appointment slots. I'm not going to cover that now. Later, maybe I will plan for a section for the appointment slots booking.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Suraj, I have a question.
You're welcome, sir. I have two questions. Yes. Go ahead.
Suraj, we are sharing the calendar to the students,
Hello?
right? Hello.
Yes, Mr. Kiran. Yes, Mr. Kiran. Yeah.
We are sharing this calendar to the students. So students will be able to make the changes in this.
Yes.
Whether they will be able to edit it.
Mr. Gannon, if you see what I mentioned is, if you go to the settings and sharing, you are not adding the student as a collaborator. Rather, you're sharing the link of public calendar that is right here. The link of public calendar, anyone can access, but they don't have any rights until and unless you make them as a collaborator. So those who are collaborators, they can make changes. Others, no, they can just view the calendar, Kiran.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions here. Question from Dr. Waleed: is there any way to import calendar to Excel? Yes, Dr. Waleed, there's a way to do that, but there is no something like a tool to do that. There are some open source like Google Calendar. If you type Google Calendar to Excel, it comes up. Google Calendar to Excel. It will show you some functions. I mean, some links like this. You can just use it, and you can do that. There's only Dr. Waleed. I have one more question from Dr. Janita. The question is, Suraj, can we make the recording sessions available? Yes, Dr. Janita, yes, it is available. You're going to get this video exactly after an hour. You're going to get a link for the video in your email, Dr. Janita. Any other questions? I think, okay, since there's no more questions, I wanted to give you the final note. So the final note is, how do you create a custom calendar? Okay, I think I have one more question. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the final note is, if you wanted to make the calendar as iframe and share it in your Moodle page as a page, how do you do that? So you can go to the settings and sharing, and when you come to the settings and sharing, what you can do is you can navigate back to the sharing option where you see embedded core. So copy this embed core, come back to your Moodle page. So I'm going to come back to my Moodle page. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new page as how we used to create. Okay, here. I'm going to create a page. And when I click on the page, it will give me the option to create a page. So let's wait for the page creation to be done. So again, let me repeat back. So I go to the settings and sharing. So to share the URL, you can go to the public URL section. To share the iframe core, you can go to the embed core option. And then if you come back here, if you go back to your Moodle page, it will give you a page to give the details. I'm going to say again, timetable. And here in the description, I can describe what is it all about, as we all normally do for the lessons and things. And then in the content area, you can place that iframe. So here in the content page, sorry about that. Just give me a few seconds. It's just getting loaded. All right. So in the content page, if you click over here, and then if you activate the HTML part, and if you paste it, the iframe is going to come up here. And as I was mentioning in my video about creating lessons, you can make it as 1000 to have a better view. And if you push the HTML back, you can see the calendar is going to come up here, right here. So this is the calendar which you can iframe it, and this can be added to your page. I know this is what Dr. Pankaj was telling about the language settings part. Okay, the language settings part, I will follow. I mean, I'll send an email to all the participants about how to do that in a video or preferably in a text format. So this is how you share the link as an iframe. If you feel that the language is a problem, then I would recommend you to use the link part. So whichever is convenient for you, you can use it, and you can make the timetables online. I think I have a question from Is there any modifications in the calendar? No. Very okay. I think that's it, doctors. So I don't see any more questions. I was a bit fast because I wanted to cover the whole thing in this particular hour, and because it is like many faculties are struggling, and I've got some feedback saying that it's very tough for us. So I just wanted to make things easier. So that's the reason I have tried to cover a kind of good portion in an hour. I've taken an 8 minutes extra for this, so that's it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. And if you wanted to, I'm going to post a survey after this. So please feel free to give your comments and suggestions so that we can have sessions like this. Once again, thank you so much, everyone. If you want to, I'm going to mute you back. So if you wanted to say something, you can say and you can leave. So it's all open. I think it's good. So I'm going to end this webinar. Once again, thank you so much for joining me and have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you,
Suraj.
Mr. Shah. Thank you.
Welcome, doctors. Welcome, doctors.